Hello, a Rosie math teacher coming at you from my 7th period, grade 7 math class. Today, I'm going to give slightly less help than I normally do. I've been kind of spoon feeding my kids on these review questions. Today, we're going to sprinkle the reminders. So listen up. Here we go. For item number 1, they want to know the constant of proportionality. Remember, constant of proportionality is K. You can use any of the 4 ordered pairs you see here and put a value of y over top of its coordinating value of x. It will give you the value of k, your constant of proportionality. Item number 2, they are going to give you a word. It is bookkeeper. Written, and actually, you know what? I have a misspelling here. Let me rewrite this, although you're not going to have time to write the whole thing. But we need 2 K's in there. They spelled book and then keeper, and they slid it together as one full word. Each letter in the word bookkeeper is written on a card. Cards are placed in a bag. A card is randomly drawn from the bag. Select yes or no to indicate the theoretical probability of each event. So if the probability of pulling out an E is what they're asking you for, and first, guys, you want to go through here, and I would recommend you convert all of these to a percent. So, for example, when you do 0.1 on a calculator times 100, that will give you the percent. When you do 1/5 in a calculator times 100, that will give you a percent. Oh, look, this is already a percent. When you do 1/2 in the calculator times 100, that will give you a percent. So first go through and give yourself a little answer key of what each of these are equivalent to as a percent to make it easier to compare. Then in order to find your first probability of the event, you would count the number of E's in the word bookkeeper out of the total number of letters. You would multiply that times 100. That would give you a percent. Find the matching percent. Question 3. This one is a little bit tricky. I am going to talk about this probably a little bit more than I otherwise would because of all that's going on. Every person who makes a purchase at a clothing store receives a mystery discount card. It says for every 10 cards given out. How many cards are given out? 10. So 10 cards given. All right, not to the same person, to each person as they enter. So as soon as 10 customers have entered the store, they will have given out those 10 cards. Does that make sense in your brain? 8 of those cards have a 5% discount, and 2 of those cards have a 25% discount. So I would recommend you give yourself a little reminder that the number or the ratio for the 5% off would be made up with the number of cards that had a 5% discount over top of the number of cards total. So the ones they told you had the percent off and then the total number of cards that they had before any customers arrived at the store. You create a ratio out of that. You then type that ratio into your white handheld calculator, so it will also give you its what form? Simplest form, because that could be another possibility in the items they're giving you below. Then you also need to do the same thing with 2 of the cards have a 25% discount. So write yourself a note. 25% off would be when there are, put as your numerator the number of cards that had a 25% discount. Put as your denominator the total number of cards they had at the door before anybody walked through. Make that ratio and do the same thing we did earlier by typing that into the white calculator to also get your simplest form. It could be in simplest form. It could be in the original numbers form, to match to the 2 items here that would also mean the same situation happening. All right, number 4. Definitely need to talk about number 4. I would like everyone looking up here. Guys, these are the number of years people lived in these 2 different apartment complexes. We have star apartments, We have gem apartments. Don't worry so much about symmetric versus asymmetric, but do remember this. If you need to find the median, what are you going to do with all of these number values first? Write it out on a sheet of paper, all in a row. Every time you see a 1, write a 1. Every time you see a 2, write a 2, and so on. Have all those numbers in number order all lined up, and to find the median or the middle number, what are you going to do? Cross off, high, cross off, low, high, low, high, low, high, low. You're going to get it down to 2 numbers that are only 1 number apart from each other. Now, I'm going to purposely pick one that's not what they have. Imagine if you were finding the median of something and you came down to these 2 numbers being in the middle, not yet crossed out. You would therefore pick whatever is directly in between. What is the halfway point between 8 and 9? 8.5. So when you get 2 numbers that are 1 number apart, you're going to choose the amount that would be right between. What if you got 2 8s in the middle of all of your numbers? What would your median be? It would be 8, because that is the only number left, even though you didn't have an odd number of numbers. If you have to find the mean, which means me averaging numbers, remember the little song, if you're asked to find the mean, also known as average, add them up and then divide. Add up all the numbers and divide by number of numbers to be sure you will get it right. Here's what that means. Again, that list of numbers we wrote earlier, you would add up all of those numbers in your calculator and divide the total by the number of numbers, also known as the number of what? The number of dots. The number of dots on here, because that means the number of people that they surveyed. All right, that is all the help I'm sprinkling for now. I want you to see what you can handle on your own. I wish you all well. Bye-bye.